Next on Worcester News Tonight, environmentalists in Massachusetts share their concerns on climate change. Plus, the Special Olympics USA men's basketball team is back in central Massachusetts. Hear all about their international trip. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. The Special Olympics USA basketball team from Shrewsbury has been preparing to compete at the 2019 World Games Abu Dhabi for more than a year, and the practice paid off. Tonight we caught up with some of the athletes who talked about their time competing internationally. It's shots like this that helped Matthew Millett and his team from Shrewsbury earn silver medals at the Special Olympics World Games in Abu Dhabi. Millett says the team's success comes from years of practice and friendship.
We've been playing together for so long now. I mean, we all know each other, good habits, bad habits, good things, bad things, what we click, what doesn't click, so we just know each other.
Millett is now known for his three-quarter shot at the buzzer in their victory over Canada. He says he's put up half-court shots during practice, but couldn't believe it when it went in during a game.
I would definitely wasn't expected to. I was pretty shell-shocked that I actually hit it that way. If you see my face, I look pretty like, what is happening, So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
The team competed at Special Olympics USA Games in Seattle last year, but this was their first international competition.
Definitely a personal accomplishment, and I had a lot of fun doing it.
The coaches are proud of their players' journey.
It was a great culminating experience. The team trained for almost 18 months. Worked very, very hard, both on the court and off the court for that whole time. Played a lot of basketball, a lot of practice. So it was just awesome to see them compete, be in every game, and win silver.
To think of what we accomplished is be able to walk in after 18 months of training was pretty cool.
Millett says he hopes to return back to the Special Olympics World Games, but for now, you can't keep him from moving. Volleyball season starts tomorrow. Well, growing backlash tonight against U.S. Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos and her proposal to cut government funding for Special Olympics. Special Olympics Massachusetts receives funding from the Department of Education for its Unified Champion Schools program. The program receives $125,000 a year, which helps support their more than $500,000 budget. They say it's funding they rely on.
We do want our schools programs to understand that we are going to stand by them and continue to help them grow as much as we can here in the state. We do, as I mentioned, we do have a great relationship with our congressional delegation and nationally with members across the aisle, and so we do expect to leverage those relationships and continue to work to educate them and hope to get the funding renewed, if not increased.
Last year, the Special Olympics received $17.6 million from the Education Department, roughly 10% of its overall revenue. A forum in Worcester tackles the issue of climate change and the impact it's having on the Earth. Wednesday, Democrats in Washington filed the climate bill of the new Congress, called the Climate Action Now Act. Environmentalists here in Massachusetts say the country is in desperate need of more climate legislation. Our Cam Jandro is live in Worcester tonight with the details. Cam?
Anna, tonight's forum was hosted by Worcester's League of Women Voters, and they say climate change is among some of the topics they hear about most often from the city's voters, and that's why they decided to host a panel of experts who discussed climate change not only in the city of Worcester, but worldwide. Climate change is a significant concern for environmentalists in Massachusetts.
Pre-industrial concentration of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere is 280 parts per million, so that's just a baseline number. In 2017, it exceeded 400 parts per million for the first time.
Melissa Hoffer is Energy and Environmental Chief for Attorney General Maura Healey. Wednesday, she spoke in Worcester about how climate change is out of control. She cited the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, saying 10 of the hottest years on record have all taken place in the last 15 years.
If the current pace of emissions continues, warming will rise almost 3 degrees Fahrenheit above pre-industrial levels by 2050.
The forum comes after Senate Republicans shot down the Green New Deal, and the same day House Democrats proposed the new Climate Action Now Act. The Environmental League of Massachusetts says in the last 2 years, more than 50 pieces of environmental policy have been rolled back.
States are going to have to lead. States are going to have to be the ones who are creating the innovation, creating the policies, creating the programmatic solutions.
Hoffer says fossil fuel consumption in everyday things like cars are leading causes for climate change, and why ending it is such a challenge.
We are in completely uncharted waters.
These are not, putting a little more weather stripping around the windows. These are dramatic changes that we need to do.
Now, tonight at the forum, they also discussed some interesting tips if you're looking to be environmentally friendly. Some of those include, if you're going to go out with some friends, decide to carpool, eat local, and use resourceful forms of energy. Live in Worcester tonight, I'm Kim Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
City Councilor Matt Wally is proposing a registry for property owners in the city. The registry would only apply to those who rent their properties and do not live in it. Councilor Wally says the goal is to create an environment where absentee landlords are forced to take care of their properties. Wally owns a 3-decker here in Worcester. He says he wants to ensure residents have a safe and suitable place to live.
Call for an inspection internally and externally. So I think the code department would have a better idea regarding some of the code violations that are going unseen. And specifically, I think in Worcester, many of the individuals who are renting, I think this order would help them.
Councilor Wally's order will go in front of City Council this upcoming Tuesday. In Douglas, fire investigators are trying to figure out what started a 3-alarm fire early this morning. The building is a multi-family home, leaving many without a place to go this evening. Our Rosalind Flaherty has the details.
I gotta get out of here. Scary moments for Rhonda Gamage when she and her family woke up to the sound of smoke alarms.
When I did come outside, I did notice there was flames coming from the basement on the other side of the house.
A 3-alarm fire forced 20 people out of this multi-family apartment building on Depot Street in Douglas. Fire Chief Kent Vinson says it started just before 3 a.m.
Very large building, multiple apartments. It's easy to get lost, especially under smoke conditions. So that was a challenge.
Departments from surrounding towns also responded. The building had working smoke detectors, and the chief says they prevented tragedies.
The smoke detectors were working. We had heavy fire, but everyone evacuated and got out.
Hours later, Gamage and others were allowed back inside to grab some of their belongings. The fire chief says the apartments are not livable, and he estimates the fire did about $400,000 worth of damage.
Exhausted. Don't really know at this moment. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to, what do you do,
That was our Rosalind Flaherty reporting. Well, now to an update on Worcester's Hepatitis A outbreak. According to the city, cases are significantly declining. Public Health Commissioner Dr. Maddie Castile told the City Council no new cases of hepatitis A were reported from March 9th to 15th. In total, there have been more than 50 confirmed cases since last June. Between the city, aid organizations, and hospitals, more than 5,000 vaccinations have been given during this effort. Worcester's School Resource Officer program was created to keep the environment where teachers teach and students learn safe. Since the program started, there's been a decline in crime in city high schools. Our Chandler Walsh spent the day with South High's officer and has more on what they do on a daily basis.
Officer Scott Pulsifer greets South High students during the school day. For the 3-year school resource officer, his relationship with the students is the best part of the job.
I talk to them like a parent. I treat these kids like I treat my own kids. I try to help them make better decisions and, in life in general. We want them to be productive members of society.
He spends his day walking the halls and grounds, watching for people entering and leaving the building, and making sure the kids are safe and where they need to be.
Trying to get a feel of, how the kids are doing that day, if there's going to be any issues, anything that happened on social media, either over the weekend or the night before.
He acts as a mentor and a counselor.
They know they can come to me. I have an open door policy. They can approach me any time of the day. A lot of them do.
Worcester Public Schools' SRO program began in 2015 to address an uptick in school violence. 5 city high schools have their own SRO, and School Safety Director Rob Pizzella says it's working.
School arrest have gone down in each of the high school since the school resource officer program started in our school system.
The Worcester Police Department says there were 31 school arrests in the 2015 to 2016 school year. They've dropped every year since, and to date there have only been 4 this school year.
For the most part, having the police there tends to de-escalate and calm situations, and so if there's a fight or something, a lot of times it'll quickly stop when the police show up.
Officer Pulsifer hasn't had to make any arrests at South this year. He says his job is all about breaking barriers.
They start not seeing the uniform itself. You know, they start seeing me more as a person.
This year's senior class is a special one for Officer Pulsifer. It will be the first class he's been with through their entire high school career. In Worcester, Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Meanwhile, Mayor Joseph Petty is not yet convinced Claremont Academy in Worcester needs a full-time school resource officer. The request was made last month by Claremont's principal and backed by Superintendent Maureen Benenda. Both say crime and traffic in the school's neighborhood is the reason behind the request. But City Councilor Soraya Rivera says the area is safe and there are other pressing needs at the school. Mayor Petty agrees the request has been approved by the city. Local entrepreneurs got a chance to market their products and network with professionals tonight. Dozens gathered at Becker to be a part of their showcase and have been intimate network session. Becker's College Deborah Pallado Fontaine says it's an excellent opportunity for these new startups to hear stories of success and how to grow their idea.
About 50 or so people come in today. Some people came a little late as they were coming from work, but a lot of times people are working in their separate offices, or a lot of these entrepreneurs have full-time jobs, they're doing this part-time, and they don't really have enough opportunities to really network.
Becker College hosted a showcase in November of 2018 and says this is the last one they'll be hosting for this school year.